some of these money concepts and dive deeper. This is what he does for a living. The thing that I love about Sam is he is so honest and real. He's not focused on himself. He's totally focused on the world. He's focused on helping other people fuel their legacy. I want to create a legacy in my world, and I know that you do too. And he knows that money is a big part of it. And I appreciate Sam for being honest, but also in his gift of service. I trust that he's going to take care of me because of the type of person that he is. And I don't think you meet very many people like that is willing to sacrifice himself to give to people. So, without further ado, I'll just bring on my man, Samuel Knickerbocker.
Yeah. That's the only dance move I know, literally. It's like anything with my hips I'm pretty good at. So
That's all you need.
that's true. So I'm so grateful for Travis. You guys heard me talk a little bit about him yesterday, but really to be able to learn to express yourself is such a valuable skill in any arena. To be able to stand in front of others who are you just never know who you're getting up in front of, right? There's so many different people in here, so many different backgrounds. We're all coming into this experience, this event, with a different mindset. Okay, so you may have heard of the couple seminar that went on, and there was a young married man in there, very timid, but he just raised his hand and asked the guest speaker, who's a world-renowned marriage therapist, and he said, "Doctor, my wife and I have been married for 3.5 years, and she won't have sex with me." The doctor's shocked. Okay. Normally I'd address this on a one-on-one setting, but I can see a lot of people nodding their heads, and that this is something they've experienced. So he proceeded to go into vivid detail about how to spice things up in the bedroom. It's unlike anything he's ever done in front of a crowd. So later that evening, he's out to dinner with his wife, and he knows I probably shouldn't tell her that I had a vivid discussion about sex in front of this group of people. So he said, I actually talked to them about sailing. You don't know anything about sailing. He's like, well, it went okay. And let's see. So they sit down and eat. A few weeks later, she's in the grocery store. The wife's in the grocery store. And she runs into one of these now very, very happy couples that was at the center. They come all up, oh my gosh, I had no idea that your husband is such an expert in it. Now she's just like, oh man, I'm so embarrassed that he actually talked about that. He doesn't even know anything about it. He's only done it twice, and both times he fell off. Okay, there's a point to this story, okay? We've all been part of an interchange, a conversation where, maybe even at this one, where we're talking to somebody and we're getting completely different things out of this experience. We aren't actually experiencing the same things, although we came to the same event. We all have events in our lives when it's up to us to choose how we're going to experience that event. Past, present, and future. Okay? I want to share 2 songs with you. Now, these 2 women that I know, they actually grew up in the same household, and they decided to write songs about their household, about how they grew up. And so as you listen to you're only going to hear a clip, but as you listen to this, think about how that person experienced their childhood. What it took for them to sit down and thoughtfully, from their heart, pen the lyrics to these songs. Okay? We're going to play the first one.
Myself staring at the knife that she misused to stab my heart and let the blood run out. No longer knew. They say the eyes are the windows to the soul, but when story can
about where she must have been to use such vivid imagery to describe her experience. I'm confident that if I sat down with each one of you, you could do the same. You could describe an experience in your life with just as much vivid detail. I want you to know that that's real, it's valid, and it's okay. Now we're going to listen to the other sister who chose to write about her childhood. They both very close in age and experienced very similar events, but what they choose to focus on defines their outcome. What you choose to focus on will define your outcome. So we're going to listen to the next one.
You are the one that we want, the one that we need when we're sleeping at night. The past may be bleak, full of heartache and grief, but the future is still shining bright. Now, Daddy, listen. We're all beautiful people. You raised us right. The past is far on the side.
I want you to just contrast those two very real, meaningful experiences that they each chose out of a similar event. Before we can get into anything really too serious, I intentionally showed you that picture of me in high heels yesterday because I know that this takes a lot. It's going to take a lot for me to really go where I need to go so you can go where you need to go. Okay, but for us to be successful in any level in our life, we have to learn to identify our identity. We have to know who we are. How many of you guys have been in a relationship or tried to get into a relationship and you're carrying around this bucket of stuff and you're just like, anybody want this? Like, I'm pretty good. I look good on the outside. and you're just hawking this bucket of crap, but you don't even know what it is. You're unwilling to actually dive deep down inside and find out what that is. And then you get into a relationship and you start actually looking inside the bucket. Your spouse is like, well, let's unscrew this thing. Let's find out what's inside. And you're like, no, please stay away from that. Like, that's past is far outside, right? Let's get that away from us, okay? You have to know who you are if you actually can be authentic. If you actually want to offer something, you have to know what you have to offer. That's what Travis is amazingly good at, is helping you identify your identity. He's not going to turn you into a duplicate of Travis. He's going to help you dig deep and identify your identity. Okay? Next, you actually have to have the confidence to chase down that identity, to express that identity. Lastly, once you have the confidence, you actually have to take action. And you have to go create. This is what people want to know. This is what people are in the game of, okay? So, I'm going to share a little bit about me and where I came from briefly here, because I think it's important. See, I grew up similar, not identical. I had a different experience. I had different events that happened to me that don't happen to everybody, okay? But I want you to get a good idea of where I came from, the house I grew up in my childhood, because it will add context to where I am today and why I'm so passionate about helping people understand money and understand how to actually build and create a legacy. So when I was, shortly after I was born, we moved into this house, we'll see the slide here, and this house was actually condemned due to a faulty foundation. It has just this low-grade OSB. There's a line there. You can actually see into the rafters between the first and second floor. Really nasty, old white vinyl siding around. Just a really pitiful situation. I'm the seventh of 11 kids, so you can imagine seven people moving here trying to stay out of debt. You know, we don't want to go into debt, heaven forbid, okay? So go to the next stage. You walk into the bathroom, okay? Imagine this. You walk into the bathroom, and where there should be a shower, there's a dirt hole where you can see out of the house. underneath the foundation, you can see right underneath it. Now, this other picture, this is a few years later. This is me, I'm like 5 or 6, totally passed out on the toilet. Okay? But you can see that this is like months after I'm born. This is me, 4, 5 years old. Okay? Not much has changed. It's a little better. I mean, there's a shower-ish. Okay? Not everything's sunshine and roses. I used to like actually tell people about my childhood. And we were all homeschooled, so there's a lot of us homeschooled. My mom, she didn't like public school. She didn't like mystical things. And so we never got to read Harry Potter, so I'm one of those deprived children. We never got to read Harry Potter, but when I was growing up, that was like the thing at my age. So people would be listening to my childhood. Yeah, I actually had, you know, that little cubby hole underneath the stairs. That's where me and a few of my siblings used to sleep, right? That was our room. And they'd be, oh, like Harry Potter. And I was like, did he have a room underneath the stairs? Yeah, he did. Yep, just like Harry Potter. Okay? Until I was about 18 and I was dating this girl and she's like, you've got to read Harry Potter or watch the movies. I was like, okay, you know. So I watched the movies. Next slide here. And, dude, I was pissed. I've been lying to people my whole entire life. Harry Potter, he had a door, he had paint, he had a bed, it was all to himself. The one on the left there, that's where I slept in with 4 or 5 of my siblings. A little foam pad, insulation, open wiring. It's a little comical, right? Yet still people are like, "Damn, that's really terrible. You must have come from a lot." I said, you know what, that is terrible. I mean, nobody wants to live that way. But there was something worse, you know, something that I actually wish I had Harry Potter's wand that I could actually change. What could be worse than living conditions, right? How do your parents treat you? Right? My mom, bless her heart, I'm the 7th of 11 kids. By the time I was experiencing this and cognizant of it, there was 2 or 3 more. If any of you guys are mothers out there, you can kind of relate that it's not the easiest job, the easiest thing to do. But my mom was literally chemically imbalanced in the worst way, and there was a lot of abuse. Just a lot of hate and anger. Every time she walked in, you never knew. I mean, if you think the old Roadrunner, the time bomb, you never know how long that fuse is. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if she woke up on the wrong side of the bed that day and she's just going to get beat with the rest of your siblings just because she's pissed. You have no idea. That was way, way worse than any living conditions I ever experienced. And we just grew up that way, right? Until I was about 11, I was like, dude, this has gone. I'm done. I'm done experiencing this. So I decided that I was going to start protecting my siblings. So I decided, hey, I'm going to become this great protector. And as I did, as I started to protect my family, or so I thought, I became very, very dominant in the household. I was bigger for my age. I always grew pretty fast. And very, very controlling, vindictive. Stuff got done because I didn't want to get beat. I didn't want my siblings to get beat. And so the answer was to make sure that my siblings did what they were supposed to do. The house got cleaned, all the chores got done, so that none of us would get beat, right? Makes sense? I was in the process of doing this. By this point, I just decided that I was in control, honestly. Like, I was just in control, pure control. And this specific night, my brother had been gifted a bed for Christmas. Imagine that, like, that's your Christmas present. You get a bed that's like 20 years old from your older sister. Okay? That was his Christmas present, but it was nicer than my bed. So I was like, well, I'm bigger than you, so I'm going to sleep on your bed tonight, and you're going to go sleep somewhere else. He's my older brother. Okay? He's like my best friend, my older brother. And so I'm in there, I'm wrestling him down to the ground, and in comes my brother Rex. And Rex has been watching me develop into this oppressive regime dictator. But anytime he'd try and put an end to it, guess who got beat? Or got in trouble? He did, because I was the one who got stuff done. And so if you hurt the one who gets stuff done, then you get in trouble finally. Well, finally, my mom's out of the house, and he's home from college. He's just had enough. He comes in, he separates us, and he wrestles me down to the ground. I'm kicking and screaming, I hate you, why are you touching me? Get away from me, right? Kicking and screaming, finally gets me pinned down, arms wrapped around me. I'm furious, right? Does nobody appreciate the protection I'm giving them? Eventually I calmed down. Eventually I decided, you know what, I don't know what to do. I'm completely restricted. I've never experienced this feeling in my life to my recollection. I've experienced getting beat. Getting beat, for any of you guys who are curious, really easy. You get beat and you move on. Being stuck in a situation where you literally can't move, that was painful for me. And I finally calmed down, and Rex quietly tells me, Sam, this feeling of restriction that you're experiencing physically is how all of your family members, all of your siblings experience you when you walk into a room. Think about that amount of control. It's pretty cool. But is that the right type of control?
No.
Absolutely not. This had never occurred to me that people were actually scared of me, because in my mind, what am I doing?
Protecting them.
I'm protecting. So it's this idea that I actually am being experienced by others differently than I'm experiencing my life myself. I have to decide, what am I going to do about it? Right? So I start to look around, I start to see the rubble, the crumbled people that are around me. And I start to think, man, I really wish right now that I could take back those words I told my sisters. I used to tell them, I hate your voice. I wish you'd never sing again. I hate females in general. I wish it just sounds like nails on a chalkboard screaming down. I never want to hear it again, and because I'm in control, shut up. Right? Maybe you guys have connected by now that those two songs were my two beautiful sisters. The second one is Heidi. You have to learn to identify your identity and let yourself go into the darkness. You see, what also happened there is that my mind caught hold on an experience that I had with my grandpa when I was 5 or 6 years old. We're coming home from the dump in this little red Ford Ranger, windows down, warm air, listening to the radio, and he chose to reach over, turn down the radio, put his wrinkled hand on my knee, and say, Sam, you have a voice that's really pleasant to listen to. You could be a leader one day, maybe even be on the radio. That was the first time I remember anybody expressing love, believing in me, saying anything positive about me or to me. Whether that's true or not doesn't matter, right? Because it's my experience. So my identity from a young age was that of a leader. Somebody who could lift people up with my voice. And what I now am confronting is that my whole life has been an image of what I hated and become a replica of my mom. And that instead of lifting up, I was tearing down, destroying in my life. Thank you, Rex. I really appreciate that. What was my identity? Dude, I'm a leader, and I'm going to lead people. And I'm going to use my voice for good. I have a podcast, Fuel Your Legacy, if you're interested in finding out more about these things. I focus on these core topics of how to create a legacy of meaning. Okay, so as I'm growing up through this experience, I decided, okay, I obviously had no idea what I was doing. I go to college and I think, well, by this point I've accepted my darkness, I'm learning about it. Okay, I'm still over here learning about it, exploring like, what was going on. I go to college for psychology, I'm like, man, something was wrong in our family. I know enough not to blame my mom at this point, but I don't know what to do. At this point, all of my siblings, as far as I'm aware, put it there, my experience of my relationship with my siblings and my mom are better than they've ever been. And I love my mom dearly. So don't get the idea that I have a bad impression of any of these. I'm very grateful for everything that happened to me in my childhood. But I went to school to be a psychologist to really find out, where does this lie? So I studied psychology, and then in psychology I found out that psychology is all based on the structure of your brain. The way you actually interact with people is based on your behaviors. They're based on the structure of your brain. So I'm like, okay, so how does a brain get developed? Let's go there. What's the process of a developing brain? So I went neonatal. I found out, like, in the womb, when does the brain start? What's happening? How does that happen? Right? So then I find out that it's all chemically based. I'm like, okay, so the chemical environment that you as mothers or that you as fathers are in, that's impacting the literal brain development of your children before they ever come out, right? They're literally growing their brain, developing their brain before they ever exist. Okay, so maybe I'll go be a biochemist, I'll be a neurosurgeon or a neuroscientist, and I'll even learn more about this. Then as I started to do the research, I found something that I'm going to hold on to for you just a second. Because at the same time this is happening, I'm going through a high-level psychology class. And this teacher was, I won't say the worst, she was the hardest teacher I've ever had. She grilled me, and she said, oh, if you're interested in going into psychology, you got to really know. So go interview 3 people in your field where you want to go. Who's done that before? Who's not interviewed their future? What did you guys find? I'm just curious. How about you? What did you find when you interviewed your future? You?
I love it.
Okay. So we can find something different, right? That's perfect. There's nothing wrong with that. It was a really good thing for me to do. So I went and interviewed these biochemists. I went and interviewed a therapist psychologist, and I went and interviewed a neuropsychologist to find out, like, what is it that I actually want to do. And then when I got back, I wrote a paper, I gave it to her, and she started to tell me this story. She said, you know, Sam, there's a guy who his whole life has wanted to climb Mount Everest. That's just been his goal. And he started his first climb when he was 30, failed. And every 3 or 4 years after that, he just kept going back and back and back, trying to do it. Now he's 60 years old, and his kids are worried for his health. They're like, when are you going to stop climbing this mountain? And he's obviously not successful. And then he told his kids, I'm going up that mountain. I'm going to get to the top of it. There's only 2 ways I'm coming down off that mountain. I'm either coming off the mountain on a stretcher because I died, or I'm going to plant my flag at the top. But one thing I'm certain of, I'm going up that mountain. This had a huge impact, because for me, I was discovering that I was walking up the wrong mountain. I was climbing the wrong mountain in search of something that I didn't know what. So in the research, I'm going through this research, like, well, what do I want to do? How can I impact change? And the thing is, people remain in their chemical environment. We just talked about with Dr. Eric here how important our surroundings, our environment is to our microbiome, right? Our health. Absolutely connected, which then connects our behavior, which then connects how we treat others, right? And so this is me mapping this stuff all the way back to, like, what is going on? And I find that the reason a woman's not going to leave an abusive husband, generally because she has kids. And she's not, financially confident enough to brave it on her own. And so she just sits there getting abused and abused and abused because she doesn't know what to do. The reason we have bad food, or we eat bad food, is it because we like bad food? I like Burger King probably more than anybody else in this room, okay? I'll just be completely honest there. I like it, but if I had $1 million a year just to drop on my diet, guess what I'd have? A team of 10 people monitoring me daily, monitoring my food, monitoring everything I'm drinking, making meals for me, making sure I'm eating when I'm supposed to, because I don't enjoy eating. And my wife is fantastic, and she does cook for me, but even when she does, I'm like, I'm not really interested in eating. I don't like the activity. But if I had $1 million, I'd throw it, like, why not pay for somebody to make sure that you are the absolute best physical condition ever. Is anybody in this room in the position that they can do that right now with their health? Fantastic, great. For the one gentleman in the back who feels he's in that position, great. But look around, everybody else, we're all still struggling in our health because we aren't financially confident, which then leads to depression, anxiety, abuse, divorce, malnutrition. It leads back to my life. It leads back to my childhood. And so that it was then that when I discovered that my whole brain switched, and I said, okay, I'm going to go all in to helping people gain the financial confidence to actually express the identity that's inside of them. You see, who here has walked by somebody on the road asking them for money? Raise your hand. Raise your hand. You're not raising your hand. Yeah, like above. Somebody's like hand. Somebody who needs money, and you walk by. No. Like you walk by. Somebody's needing help, and you just walk by. Just flat out walk by. Why? Is it because your heart didn't initially say, I want to help this person? Or is it because your heart said, I want to help this person, and you said, I can't? Sometimes both. Most of the time, the reason we don't help is because we can't afford it. We don't think we can afford it. Okay? For me, that was no longer acceptable. So, that's why my mission and my passion is to help people identify who they are, help them learn to express that identity and have enough financial confidence to express that identity. How many people here, by raising hands, love your job and would die doing it even if you never got paid? There's a few people. Okay? How many of us still need to eat if we never get paid? Right? Everybody. So we have to have some type of income. The question is, how can we monetize that identity? How can we learn to express ourselves so fully and add value? Because who is it? It's value. If you don't think you have enough money, it's because you don't think you have enough value. If you identify that value that's uniquely you and nobody else, and you share that value with others, then the financial confidence will come. It's a natural law. You can argue with it, I guess, if you want. If you want to argue gravity, go have fun, right? But there's no point, because it's widely accepted that if you jump off a building, you're going to fall. Okay? So I want you to think about where in your life could you add more value. Okay, so just take a quick second, write down 2 or 3 things in your life you could add more value to. You guys are still writing, you still need time to write, that's okay. But we're going to hop into a more, it's going to start lightening up, okay? But it's going to start lightening up, so you can start smiling again. It's okay. Okay, so you guys have probably been part of an example like this, where you see, we're going to get